All right, we're going to cover Disney's 2026 slate. Uh, it seems a little more reserved than last year. I don't know if they finally churned out all the stuff that they had on the backlog after after strikes and everything else, but there's some big question marks here. There's some consistent stuff. There's some weird stuff. So I'm sure there'll probably be other movies that come out that I'm not aware of that weren't on the filmography, but waiting until March 6th for a big budget movie in Hoppers. This is a Pixar original. I don't know the last time a Pixar original has done well in theaters, so we'll see if this one does well. History says no, no it won't. There's two Pixar movies this year. One of them is original, and one of them is a safe bet. So I'm going to say the original does poorly. The Devil Wears Prada 2 comes out May 1st. I'm not that not knowledgeable about the first Devil Wears Prada, but it made pretty decent money. So we'll see if a nostalgia sequel to a 2000s original movie, does well. Freaky Year Friday made a little bit of money. Devil Wears Prada 2, I think, was a bigger. Devil Wears Prada was originally a bigger deal. We'll see if Devil Wears Prada 2 is. Speaking of May and sequels, The Mandalorian and Grogu comes out May 22nd. This is the first Star Wars movie since 2019, so 7 years. 7 years since the last Star Wars movie. This is the sequel to the popular television series The Mandalorian. Big test for Disney and one of its flagship franchises. Do people want to see Star Wars movies in theaters? I think it'll do well. People like The Mandalorian. It's been enough years since a Star Wars movie was out in movie theaters. Especially if reviews are good, I think this will do well. This feels like the kind of comment that'll end up being wrong uh, 12 months from now, but we'll see. Dave Filoni is kind of the creative boss succeeding Kathleen Kennedy, so I think there'll be a lot of talk in the nerd circles about how this movie does as a reflection of him, even though this is not totally his baby. He's not directing it, but he is heavily involved in this part of the Star Wars universe. In general, I think Dave Filoni as creative head of Star Wars is a good idea. He seems like he's never afraid to fill out the expanded universe of Star Wars away from the core movies. So I think that's a good idea, and I think creatively it's probably in good hands with him at the helm. Obviously, this is more filling out between the movies in a frankly a time period in Star Wars that I think is ripe for more stories. The time in between Episode 6 and Episode 7. So hopefully it does well. I think it will. June 19th, you got Toy Story 5. Pixar sequel. It will inevitably do well, but not as well as they hope. And you'll wonder why they keep making these, but it'll do well. July 10th, so what is that? Not, it's a few weeks after Toy Story 5. Moana will come out. This is a live action remake of the original movie. How do we really need this so fast? And so soon after Moana animated sequel? I don't know. Maybe it's because The Rock will eventually not be able to play this role. That'd be my guess. We are, yes, already at live action remakes of the 2010 movies. I think they're working on a Tangled one, and I'm sure a Frozen one will come out at some point in time. But it is wild to me that we are already at live action remakes of movies that are still getting sequels. But here we are. The Dog Stars comes out August 28th. What is The Dog Stars? It is a sci-fi movie by Ridley Scott, original director of Alien and Prometheus and Alien Covenant, that movie. So this is adapted from a 2012 post-apocalyptic novel. I don't know how much money they're spending on it, but it does seem like it's a big budget one, so it will probably be substantial enough to talk about. That comes out late August, which I think the creator they released maybe around that time period, or at least in that time of the year. It's like post-summer, peak summer season. That is a risky time of the year now fall has not been great for movies the past few years. Whale Fall comes out October 16th. Also not sure on the scope on this one from 20th Century Fox. It involves somebody getting swallowed by a whale and having to escape, and I imagine that probably would cost some money, so I imagine it'll be expensive enough to be talked about. November 25th, the traditional animated slot for Disney Animation Studios, the original studio, has Hexed. Not much to say about this. There's not much written. It doesn't even have its own Wikipedia page. But I appreciate that it's not another sequel. I think some of the Disney animated ones have been a little more consistent with the sequels, or with the original property successes than Pixar, but we'll see. That comes out in November. Following that, Avengers Doomsday, December 18th, your holiday season slot. They're already hyping this one up. I don't see them. I don't watch them, but I see that there's trailers with certain characters that are returning, and man, they really want you to watch this one. They really want you to come back for this one. Please see our Avengers movie. If you don't see this Avengers movie, the franchise is dead. Yeah, that's the big question. Will you go see an Avengers movie? Avengers Doomsday. The guy that played Iron Man is the villain in this one, a different character. There's some returning characters, but not all of them probably. Like, please see Avengers Doomsday. I don't think it's going to do as well as they want. I can already see the headlines now, more like box office Doomsday. Like, the headlines just write themselves. I think this will be like maybe I'm being a negative Nancy, but I think this will be like the final nail in the Avengers Marvel coffin. Like, stop doing these things, do some X-Men stuff. Like, just chill out for a while until people actually want to see these movies again. But that big test comes out in December. So you've got a Pixar original, a Disney animation original, a big sci-fi from Ridley Scott, a Are You Going to See Avengers movies test, and Are You Going to See Star Wars movies test. So big tests, but less stuff being thrown at the wall this year. So I think it'll be a better year from Disney, but we'll see.